Hello and welcome to the virtual orientation for Early Bird. So we got a lot to get through in this orientation. Let's hop to it. I'm going to go over everything in chronological order. So I'll talk about everything that happens before the race starts, and then the swim, and then the bike, the run, and then the post-race. Not everyone's going to be doing all the swim, bike, run. Obviously, if you're doing a swim cycle, there's no run. If you're doing a duathlon, there's no swim. If you're doing just the run, there's no swim or bike. So you can kind of skip ahead if you like to the section that's relevant to you, but I'm going to lay it out in that order just so you know. Pre-race information. Okay, so Google Maps is a little bit dated. Some of this, I'll use my cursor here, some of this parking lot has all been freshly repaved. If you were there in 2024, it's the exact same as last year, but don't let this map scare you. Similarly, the parking lot that we used for almost 20 years is now a giant construction site, so don't look at this and think, hey Adam, why aren't we using the nice fresh parking lot? It is torn up. So for bib pickup, everything that's happening at the race is going to be over here in P7. My highest recommendation, my number one recommendation is to pick up your bib the day before the race. We'll be on site right over here from 3 to 6 p.m. in P7, and you can pick up your bib there. When you show up, you can ask your questions, meet our race crew, you can see the lay of the land. We'll actually have the T-zone all set up, so you can see exactly where your bike's going to go. You can kind of walk through it all. And if you want to stick around, we're going to do two different in-person orientations. We'll do one at 4 o'clock and one at 5 o'clock. So we'll be there at 3 o'clock. You can show up at 3 if you want and get your bib and go home. But if you want to show up around 4, or ideally just before 4 so you get your bib, then you show up for the orientation. If you miss that one, we'll do one at 5 again. So you can show up just before 5. Call it 4:30, 4:40. 20 minutes to get your bib, walk around, meet people and whatnot. Then at 5 o'clock, we'll do the last orientation. And after the last orientation, we'll stay open for just a little bit, get everyone else their bib if they didn't get it already. And by 6 o'clock, you guys can go home, do your taper and get ready. And we're going to go rest up and get ready for our race day. But doing the bib pickup the day before the race helps you a ton with the race day. There's so much to do on the event day for athletes that taking one thing off your list goes a long way. And you get a chance to see the race in person as far as layout. You get a chance to ask your questions when it's not, an immediate need kind of thing. So that is my number one recommendation. So to go over the day of itself. So on race day, you show up, you go down University Ave. So here's Bronson Avenue, and this is all Carleton University. You'll turn in, you can park anywhere here. You'll see our setup over here in the corner. You can't miss us. We're the ones with the purple archways and the purple fencing and whatnot. You'll be over there. Parking is paid, so we recommend one, biking or taking public transit if you can. As a secondary option, please carpool. Less cars on the road, the better for a lot of reasons, but two, it'll save you some parking frustrations. So you'll get there, you'll park at P7, you'll go get your bib if you haven't done so already, and then everybody will have to go get their timing chip and then get their body marking done. Once that's done and you're all warmed up and you've set up your bike in the T-zone and whatnot, you'll follow these cones all the way to the pool. It's about 600 meters or so, so make sure you plan enough time to do all that, and then you'll go to our swim start. I recommend getting on site, an hour before the race. So if you're racing at 9 a.m., get there at least by 8 a.m. I know an hour sounds like a lot of time, but by the time you get your bib, if you haven't done so already, and the timing chip and the body marking, and you set up your bike, and then you walk or run or jog all the way back to the pool, that hour evaporates really quickly. And then late registration, I've got a note here. It's subject to availability. Every year our swimming events sell out. If those sell out, we'll have some room left in the duathlon and the run. The duathlon may sell out this year because the parking lot's only so big, we can only fit so many bike racks in it. If we sell out of the triathlon and the duathlon and the swim cycle, we'll still have some room in the 5K. But please sign up early. This race always sells out in advance. So swim. You've parked your car at Carleton U. You've walked back to the pool. What you're going to do is, this is a kind of a serpentine swim. So you'll be in the Carleton pool. It's a 50-meter pool. And if you're doing a 500-meter swim, you're going to go there and back, which is 100 meters. Go under the lane rope there and back, under the lane rope there and back, under the lane rope there and back, under the lane rope for 500 meters. So that way you're doing the whole race across 5, or actually it'll be 6 lanes. And then if you're doing a 100-meter swim, you go there, you go back, you get out of the water, and you go on to your bike portion. What will happen is everyone will get there for the race. Let's say there's an 8:15 start. there'll be 100 or 200 of you on deck. We'll have volunteers and signage helping you guys get in order from fastest to slowest based on anticipated swim time. So if you're a minute and 30 for 100-meter swimmer, you go near the front. If you're a 2-minute, you go over here, 3-minute over here, so on and so forth. And your timing shift won't start until you go into the water. So there's no need to push away to the front. It's best, actually, it'll probably be faster, actually, if you find a spot where there's less overtaking. So if you think you swim around 2 minutes per 100-meter, seed yourself in that area and talk to the people around you. Go, hey, how much do you train, assuming your strength and whatnot, and try and just, amicably figure out who should be first in the queue and who should go where. And then when you get in the water, the race is on. You're still welcome to pass while you're in the water. It's always easier to pass at the walls, but this seating part here is pretty important, and we try and help out with some volunteers, but it's important that you also talk to your fellow competitors. The last little note that I'll mention here is that you have to bring shoes with you to the pool. Obviously, when you go from P7 to the pool, you have to walk there, so you'll be wearing shoes. You'll leave those shoes outside of the pool so that when you finish your swim, you exit the pool, put your shoes on, and then you run to the parking lot, P7, to get your bike. Speaking of bike, here we go. So here, I'll use my cursor again, is where P7 is. You'll grab your bike, get on the mountain line, and ride towards downtown, turn around, ride towards Hog's Back, and turn around, and that's one loop. You'll either be doing 1, 2, or 3 loops depending on the race that you're doing. Please make sure you know how many loops you're supposed to do. It's incredibly difficult for us to tell you how many loops you're trying to do. Every year someone is zooming by at 30 plus kilometers an hour and they go, am I done yet? And we have to figure out in a split second which race they're in, how many loops they need to do, how many they may have done, and then get them the answer. It just doesn't work well. So please make sure you know how many loops you're supposed to do. And a loop, again here, is one whole loop from P7 to Clegg to Hog's Back and back. That is one loop. Pretty sensible stuff. Now, the last little point here is for our swim cycle athletes. So you'll do your loops, you'll come back, you'll put your bike away, and then you have to run to the finish line. It's only about 60 meters, but your time will finish once you cross the finish line. So even though it's a swim cycle and there's no actual run involved, you do have to run, again, about 50 meters. But what you'll do is you'll come in from the bike, rack your bike. You can even leave your cycling shoes on or your helmet on if you want, because it's a 50-meter run. You might as well save those seconds if you want to. Or if you want the best race photos ever, take them off, take the helmet off so we can see your smile and all that, go through the finish line, and then your race is over. For everybody else, you still have a run to complete. And would you look at that, we got a slide all about the run. So again, smile for the camera. We'll have photographers all along the bike course and the run course. But for the run course, you'll exit P7, you run all the way down to either Library Ave or towards Hog's Back and you turn around. So if you're doing one of the 2.5 kilometer runs, like for a try, you come here to Library Avenue and you turn around. We'll have signs there saying, 2.5K turn here, 5K continue on. And we'll have a volunteer there trying to help you out. So if you get there and you can't think straight and you go, I'm doing the 5K, is this the 2.5K turnaround? He said, no, this is the turnaround if you're doing the 2.5K. You're not at the halfway point just yet. Keep going. But most of you are doing the 5K run, so you go all the way to Hog's Back and then return. But some of you will turn around at Library Avenue if that's the race that you're doing. Again, incredibly important that you know whether you're doing a 2.5 or a 5K run. Most of you are wearing watches these days, so that really helps quite a bit, knowing where you are in the race. But we'll have you there to help you out too. Please make sure you help us help you, kind of thing. Last little point I'll mention is that we have a water station with some sports drink here on the course. Everyone can access it on the way out and on the way back. So that's pretty great too. And once you cross the finish line, you're an early bird 2025 finisher. The real fun begins. We're going to have some non-alcoholic beer from Libra. We'll have post-race snacks. We'll do a bit of an award ceremony. It's tougher to do the award ceremony at this race because we have almost a dozen races going on at every time. So we'll try and get through some of the shorter races first as far as ceremony goes, and then go through the longer ones after. All of your photos will be live online about 48 hours after the race at photos.somersault.ca, and the results will be at sportstats.ca. But we'll send you a post-race newsletter the evening after the race or the morning after with a bit of a resume of these things. And that's it. If you have any questions, if I can help in any way, send me an email. It's adam@somersault.ca. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you at the start line, or better yet, the day before the race for bib pickup. Thanks, and we will see you then.